Welcome back. It's episode 2, and you're here with Heather.
Sean.
And Zach.
And tonight, we're going to decide if 2021's Nightmare Alley is worth a watch or a 20-minute veto.
Mm-hmm. Sweet. And 20-minute veto being our rule where we kind of pass the torch for watching films when we hang out. And, the rule is if someone throws their hand up during the 20-minute veto, the first 20 minutes of the film, we can, skip it or, fast forward through it or basically not watch it. or we make it past the 20-minute mark and then we've committed to kind of watching the rest of the film.
Good or bad.
Good or bad.
Right or wrong.
Right or wrong.
We're in for the slog.
We bought the ticket. We take the ride.
Yeah. Somewhere near Barstow.
So, episode 2 here, we watched Nightmare Alley by Guillermo del Toro, 2021. Even though, what are we watching on? Even though it got kind of marked as 2023, but 2021. And who wants to give the quick elevator synopsis?
I picked this one. I think I can fire out a quick synopsis as quick as possible to get people engaged or whatever. A fellow of ill intentions finds himself at a carnival of also ill intentions, and we go on a roller coaster of good deeds and bad deeds and carnival-esque escapades that end in murder and horror and supernatural. It was nominated for a bunch of Academy Awards, and of course, the year before it was nominated, The Shape of Water won Best Picture by Guillermo del Toro, and this was his follow-up film, shot in Toronto, and it looks pretty darn good. But we all had mixed reviews about this one, and definitely can't say it's one to take home to the daddy or mommy or a Christmas special anyway. Certainly not one we'd call that, but go ahead, guys, jump in and say what you think about and your initial thoughts about this film.
So I give this a 20-minute veto. I'd turn this shit off. It was. I'm sorry, Guillermo. I'm a fan, but not of this film. I fell asleep during it, and still didn't.
Yeah, you did.
And for I don't know how long, like 40 minutes or whatever, and I still didn't feel like I missed anything. I woke up and the plot was still what was going on, and the same guy's grift, and. It felt like watching paint dry. The best part was like the first half hour where he's hooked up with a traveling sideshow, and kind of has some weird what is this guy doing here? Is he a drifter? It's set in the 30s, so he's looking for work. It's right before World War II or like 1940, 1930s. So the guy's looking for work. He'll take anything, but kind of lighthousey in that same as what's his face character there,
Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson. This guy, is he a believable narrator? Is this a good protagonist? Is it bad? Turns out he's a piece of shit, and who is trying to make money off of people's hopes, even though he thinks he's giving people hope by doing this cold reading is basically what he ends up doing to people, and that's
for lots of money.
For lots of money,
wealthy people.
Saying he's some medium and all this shit, and he just learned it at this sideshow, and killed a guy for this to take his book of secrets on how to do this, and not interesting. It was 2 movies, and one was 40 minutes long. That's the sideshow part of it, and then he leaves with Rooney Mara, and then the movie starts over again. But now he's a success, and he's in a cummerbund and tuxedo, and duping the super wealthy out of gobs of money, and then enter Cate Blanchett, who ends up, as we find out later, running her own game. That came out of nowhere. That was he ends up being some kind of test for her. Anyways, it's a jumbled thing that's way too long, 2.5 hours, way too fucking long, and it was like watching paint dry. I could have turned it off after he drove away from the sideshow. Like, that's a fun film. Thank you, Zach. Thank you for this one. I got a good little nap out of it.
That's right. Well rested on a Sunday. H, what do you think?
Yeah, I have to echo a lot of what Sean said. I definitely wish that I had 20-minute vetoed this one. Although the first 20 minutes kind of had me. That little bit where we establish this whole life at the carnival where he's trying to woo Rooney Mara's character.
Willem Dafoe's great.
Willem Dafoe's always great. But
Toni Collette was great.
Toni Collette was great. And we just left all of them behind, which sucks because, you know, you spend almost an hour with those characters. This is just another one of these movies where you spend an hour with establishing something just to throw it away and start it again. And I don't understand why that is such a trend. I think that the movie looked beautiful. You know, I liked the fact that it's a period piece and it's not the 80s again. I love the little details, like the electric chair that is built for Rooney Mara's
cool.
character is great. Those, like, I love those kinds of little details and stuff. It was hand painted, really awesome. The styling was great, but it's another Guillermo movie, unfortunately, like Crimson Peak, that had all this style and no substance. And I really think, honestly, something like this, like 2.5 hours just for us to come back around to, okay, he's going to be the geek. You know, did we give a spoiler alert again? We really need to have a spoiler. At this point, it's got to be a spoiler alert. But
we don't care about spoilers.
I don't think we needed 2.5 hours for Bradley Cooper being a crappy person getting his comeuppance. I was like, you know, my thought process, especially once it became clear that's what was going to happen, why wasn't this an episode of, I guess, Creepshow would be the one now, but my first thought was this would have been a great Tales from the Crypt episode, you know. You know,
has that twist ending where the guy who thinks he's, you know, gonna
he's
make off with the
successful
money
off
or
of
whatever.
off of everybody else, off of bad deeds, off of being evil. He gets his due comeuppance and what rightly deserved. That could have been done in under an hour with commercials, you know. Back in the day it would have been, but now 2.5 hours, I just don't think that was necessary.
Yep, and almost and kind of on the back half, but another one of these, like, could have been an hour and a half. They could have even started with, like, him already successful.
Yep.
Not even doing the sideshow thing, and then you get little snippets of his past and how he got there.
Yeah.
I think it was, like, made to be more of this period piece epic than I think it kind of came off as.
But yeah, so my final word, definitely 20-minute veto, and I don't really know where the Nightmare Alley name came from. Like, this was more like...
I had a wonderful nap.
Like I said,
no nightmares at all.
This was more like Tales from the Crypt, episode 200 and whatever, Grifter's Gonna Grift. You know, that's really... This could have been much better. I'm left wanting.
If I may...
Yes,
I think that this movie teaches us some valuable lessons about how to muddle your protagonist and your antagonist, and without having a clear line of sight for one or the other, we don't know who to root for, and we're often left kind of meandering in a whirlpool of what the hell just happened. And there's a lot of setups and no payoffs. There's all these little punks, these neat little freaks and geeks that kind of show up throughout the film that never get resolved or even paid attention to because we're too busy trying to drive this story forward, which, as you say, has a resolution in about 49 minutes. It's very colorful for the first 45 and then loses that. It's drowned out
super drab
in blacks and whites and golds. Now they're trying to show elevation. They're trying to show a class restructuring, but it still becomes bland because it's too much. It just doesn't read well as the first 45 minutes. And as we have talked about Saving Private Ryan, if you blow your wad in the first 29 minutes, the rest of your film isn't going to sell, no matter how awesome you think it is. This movie falls prey to what we'd call the fifth act problem, where your movie ends succinctly at 2 hours, but due to budget justification or just because you want to tell a little more of your story, you stretch out to another small bit of story that you just think, and it ends up making us exhausted. and making us wonder what's going on. And sadly, that's what devolved from the therapist. She could have come and gone.
Yeah.
And instead, they're, no, I've been playing you the whole time.
Yeah.
And
we didn't get, and there was really no indication of that at all. You know, I honestly thought she was going to, when they introduced Cate Blanchett, because the system that Bradley Cooper is using with Rooney Mara to like cold read, Rooney Mara isn't really as committed to it as Bradley Cooper is, so she's getting mistakes or making mistakes.
Her performance is not as believable.
Yeah, and
sure.
so I thought Cate Blanchett
was going to come
was
and take
gonna
over
take her
that. Yeah, that's
place.
what I
Yeah.
thought they were going to.
Yeah, because she stands up and then, you know, Mara kind of reveals that he's been seeing, she's seen her before at this club that they perform at previously a couple of times. So I thought they were setting up for her to take her place, and then the two of them were gonna get even bigger. You know, go on the World Fair stage and all this kind of stuff. Do it for royalty or something like that. Who knows? But yeah. Very odd, the whole psychologist thing, the kind of twist at the end.
I think he also makes one mistake, Guillermo del Toro, that he does quite often, is in the first 7 seconds of a film that he does, examples being Pan Labyrinth and this one, that if you're not paying attention directly, and you're aiming for your popcorn or you're just getting seated and ready, and you miss this opening 7 seconds, you don't get the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
What's
And
the opening 7 seconds?
In the first 7 seconds of this film, we see Bradley Cooper dragging a body into a hole and then setting the house on fire.
Oh, I missed that.
That's what I'm saying, is that if you...
I was like in the kitchen.
You pick up a dish or you looked sneezed wrong.
Yeah.
It's not saying, hey, we're starting now, and I understand, you got to hook them quickly, but this is maybe set the stage a la 1917, where we just get a nice static shot of our heroes, let everyone get comfortable, know the movie is starting, but specifically with Pan's Labyrinth, if you miss this opening 7 seconds, the rest of the film is kind of detached from what really happens at the end, and you leave feeling unsatisfied, which this film, Nightmare Alley, leaves us all feeling unsatisfied. If there were any good guys, they didn't win, and they're all bad guys, and we shouldn't have been watching them in the first place.
So even having missed that first like 10-15 seconds of him burying this body and setting this cabin on fire, they go back to it like 15 times or whatever throughout the movie, so you get, and then they show you exactly what it was that he did there. So they didn't even need that part at the beginning. He could have just, it could have just started on a stormy night where this guy's trying to get in out of the rain and he gets to this side.
We don't know until it's peppered in later as a
Yeah.
reveal,
Yeah.
rather than this is the real setup. And it's like, no, him just being unemployed or whatever, finding his way
That was
to the
enough.
carnival is the introduction of this character.
Yeah.
And the rest we find out along the way. Anyway, I definitely too agree with the 20-minute veto. Photography is excellent. Guillermo del Toro is
looks
trying.
beautiful.
Yeah, writer director. And the year before he won Best Picture. You can't slog the man for really putting out an effort. But with these days and the anti-hero and the moral ambiguity, it leaves us with a story that none of us really wanted to watch.
This was no shape
and
of
for
water.
the length too.
Yeah.
It's like, I've invested 2.5 hours to what? Like, this guy wasn't really a sympathetic hero to begin with. I don't know, because he kind of shows his colors pretty quick when he gets to the sideshow. I mean, he shows pity for this like geek character, which is like a guy that Willem Dafoe basically cons
A derelict.
a bum kind of rub derelict who has to be an alcoholic. That's the guy. That's his like big thing. So he can drop opium in his alcohol and really get him hooked on the one swig of booze he gets per night or whatever after each show. So it turns a man into a beast and a sideshow creature that will do whatever, basically rock bottom. And they're pretty heavy-handed with it at the very beginning, that when they walk away from the sideshow and they walk away from this geek character, it's kind of obvious that Bradley Cooper is going to be
that's what
the
I
geek.
thought. Yeah,
It was
as soon as
super obvious.
As soon as
At like
Willem
40
Dafoe
minutes in,
did
like,
that,
oh.
did that speech about he lays it out. This is exactly how you do it, and then before he knows that he's the geek, it's like, oh well, obviously that's where we're going.
Yeah, and he didn't have to go that way because Kate Blanchett, when the ruse is done, and he tries to take this giant whale who's kind of like a Hearst, like a
J.P. Morgan. whatever it is.
J.P. Morgan, who's a Howard Hughes type. He's not entire in the second half of his Howard Hughesism. He's like not entirely mentally stable. So Kate Blanchett, warns him, Bradley Cooper, away from going after that guy with his fake cold readings and stuff, because the guy's desperate to connect with his wife, his dead wife. Again, great actor, the dad from 6 Feet Under, and
Richard Jenkins.
Richard Jenkins, is that his name?
Yep.
Yeah, that's his name.
And his man from
Fight Club,
Mindhunter,
Iron Claw. He's got
Yeah.
a lot of work lately.
Oh yeah, I love that guy.
that guy's great. He's
Yeah,
almost
great.
him and Ron Perlman. And you know what? Even Toni Collette were like the most sympathetic characters in the film, for me, anyways. And
David Strathairn, who played
The old dying mentalist.
Petey.
Yep.
Davey?
Oh, is that, yeah, he's
Petey?
great.
Petey? Yeah, Pete. Yeah, it was nice to see him again.
Yeah, so there's a meandering okayness.
He's got great individual performances,
Yeah, and
but
it's,
as a whole, have you seen Righteous Gemstones?
oh yes,
Have you seen the 4th season?
I've not seen the 4th season yet.
This feels like Bradley Cooper's audition for Righteous Gemstones. He plays a very similar character at the.
Who's like the
They go back and
grand
forth between
patriarch
yeah.
of the Gemstone family, but it's all based on a grift,
On a
off
grift.
of finding a book.
Is he aged? Is he like playing in makeup or something? Or
He's
is he-
playing the young
he's-
version
this
back
is
in
like-
time. They do a
Oh,
flashback.
shit.
the founding gemstone.
1883, the motherfuckers.
Yeah.
So he's like in the Civil War, and he's not affiliated with either side. He's just a guy, and just about the exact same character, like a grifter, kind of con man who's escaping some past, and ends up falling into playing the role of a preacher and giving, again, almost very similar, giving soldiers who are about to be, POW soldiers. So he's with the South, and they've got like northern captives that they're going to execute. He takes it upon himself to give these guys hope and do like a reading before they get executed, or if a guy's dying in the tent, to give him a reading, even though he's not a real priest or really believes in it, and then he eventually over time does believe in it. So great, he's awesome in that, and I see he got 2.5 hours of practice for that in this movie. So good on Bradley Cooper. He was able to translate that character. He found a cool character to kind of do kind of again, and a little bit more loose. So it was really good. But
So final
not
verdict.
so much this one.
Final thoughts. Wrapping up.
Nightmare Alley. Don't bother.
20-minute veto.
20-minute veto.
20-minute
20-minute
veto.
veto.
But if you have a craving for something like this, watch HBO's Carnival.
Or
seasons
Shape of
1 and
Water.
2.
It made me think of Carnival. Oh, yeah.
Carnival. That's
Send
great.
Shape of Water, for the love of
of
God.
Water.
Or
If you
Shape of
haven't-
Water,
If you
yes.
haven't seen that before, go and watch Shape of Water, shot in Toronto. Fabulous people working involved in that. Guys, send us some messages. Let me know what you thought. Let us know what you want us to review. We'll come back. Thank you so much for joining us today on 20-Minute Veto.
Cheers.
Later.